Okay, now we're looking at equations. With equations, you have an equal sign in the question, and the aim of the question is to find out the value of whatever the unknown letter is. So we want to end up with 1y equals and a numerical answer. There's any number of ways that you would have been taught these, but ultimately what you have to remember is that in order to isolate the y, just to get the unknown on its own, you have to do the opposite to whatever else is being done to it. So for example, in this question, 6 is being subtracted from it. So in order to get the y on its own, I have to do the opposite of subtracting 6, which is adding 6. If I add 6 to this, it becomes 0, so I just get y on its own. But I have to do whatever I've done to both sides of the equation. So if I've added 6 to that, I've got to add 6 to that as well. This leads to another way that you may have been taught, which is change sign, change side, change sign. I want to move that negative 6 across the equal sign. If I'm doing that, it changes from a minus to a plus, its opposite. So y in this case is 14. If there's no sign in between, no mathematical sign in between the number and the letter, there's a times there. We don't put it in because it just looks like an x, and that would get confusing. So what's happening here is that x is being multiplied by 4. So to get it on its own, I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 4, which is dividing by 4. Now in algebra, we write divide by 4 like that, and we can work out that that is 6. This one, I've got to get rid of an add 6. I get rid of an add 6 by subtracting 6. If I subtract 6 from the left hand side, I have to do it from the right hand side as well, giving me x equals 8. Here it's a times 8, so I have to do the opposite of timesing 8, which is divide by 8, 6. Here it's an add 7, I have to do the opposite of adding 7, which is to subtract 7. 15 take away 7 is 8. And question 4 is just a repeat of question 3, so we'll put a line through that. Question 5, it's a 3 times, so I have to divide. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Add 7 means I've got to subtract 7. Here, that means x is being divided by 4, so I have to do the opposite of dividing by 4, which is times by 4. 32. Add 7 again, opposite of adding 7, subtracting 7. Divide 3, opposite, times 3. And finally, add 10, opposite, subtract 10, to get minus 7. So that type of equation question will come up very early in the paper, because there's only one mathematical step you have to take to go from the question to the answer.